My name is Melissa Diane Bartlett. I am a visual artist. I do painting, video, and animation here in Los Angeles. Betye Saar is still a working artist at 97 years old. Betye was part of the foundational generation of Black artists in Los Angeles in the 60s. She is a pioneer of assemblage in Los Angeles, as well as a pioneering Black female artist. I was first introduced to Allison Saar's work when I lived in New York, and then came upon Betye's. Her daughter Allison is currently a very well-known artist. Betye was awakened to art at a very young age. When she was 4, she experienced the tragic death of her father and moved from Pasadena to Watts. And this is the first time that she saw Simon Rodea's work with the Watts Tower. She was surrounded by seamstresses, crafts, but she didn't see that as formal art. So Betye went to Pasadena Junior College, studied ceramics, watercolor, then moved to UCLA and went into fabric design, bookbinding, illustration. Her early work is printmaking, where it focuses on palmistry, symbols, astrology. So Betye Saar had been married, had 3 daughters. Those 3 daughters became artists in their own right. She unfortunately got divorced in the 1970s, and because of that, she was basically raising 3 daughters, and then her studio was in her kitchen, and she would be taking care of her child in the arm while she's making work and dividing up her day in that way. Her work pivoted to a very political bent with the murder of Martin Luther King Jr. And that created a lot of grief for her. The only way she could process this immense grief that she had, was to make art. And that's where the Aunt Jemima pieces came from. That work that she made really put her in the public eye. She took that figurine and a broom in one hand and a rifle in the other. Even the activist and academic Angela Davis had once said that the liberation of Aunt Jemima is really what started the Black women's movement in Los Angeles. With Betye Saar's work, what really drew me in was the bird cages. For example, in one of her pieces, she has the bird cage. She has the Black figurine inside of that with a tree underneath it. And then below it, the symbolism, there's an alligator in there. So she's referring to where the Black children were called pickaninnies, as they were bait for the alligators, but also kind of placed into this beautiful composition. So the idea that she deals with mysticism, symbolism, how she's taking kind of what are artifacts that she finds and then reappropriating the meaning. I have a lot of similar themes. So Betye used a lot of symbolism in her work. Again, working with assemblage and found objects. Betye has been commissioned to do an installation at the Huntington Library. Growing up in Pasadena, she used to visit those gardens as a child. So to be able to go in there, pick from the gardens, and incorporate it into her work has really felt like coming full circle.
For me, it's important to use something from the ground.
Yes.
Because that's how it started.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
Because that's what I remember so much from my childhood.
The Huntington installation revolves around the idea of death and transformation. This is part of the reason that she's using live objects that are actually dying while they're inside, that even though something is expiring, there's a beauty in that. The installation features a 17-foot large vintage canoe. There's bird cages in the seats and antlers and natural materials as well. She says the more that you put in that blends with something, the more the power is increased. I think that's a metaphor for her work as well as her as a being. Betye's had over 80 shows in the last 10 years. Those exhibits have included shows at the LACMA, MoMA, Studio Museum of Harlem. She's received multiple awards. So to receive that level of fame and that many exhibitions, again, in the twilight of her life, is phenomenal. I find Betye Saar amazingly inspiring. When she talks about her work, it's just a spark. There's a light within. Her work isn't just timeless, but she is as well. I love how she says she doesn't really look to the past. What would you say to your younger self? Oh, who cares? Let's just keep moving forward. I want to see what I'm doing next year. Look what she did. Look what she's doing.